This is the Partner for Leads community podcast for small business owners and sales professionals. It's a podcast for those of you who want to build your business in a way that is all about relationships first. My featured guest is Philip VanDusen of Verhaal Brand Design. We are both members of the Youpreneur Mastermind community, and I see this message from Phil earlier in the week celebrating the fact that he just hit 10,000 email subscribers. Obviously, I had to get him on the phone, and I decided to make an episode of our conversation. We could have spent a lot more time on this topic, but I'm testing a 15-minute-ish format, so we'll see how it goes. I know you're going to get a lot of information from this, because I sure did. If you want more, just let me know at Partner for Leads. And if you're trying to grow your email list, and you should be, take notes. You can find Philip at philipvandusen.com. And without further ado, here is my conversation with Philip VanDusen. Philip, welcome to the show.
Hey, Roberto. Welcome. Glad to be here.
I really appreciate your time. All right, we're going to get right into this. You know, based on a little exchange we had inside a community that we mutually belong to, that I'm excited to learn about your recently hitting 10,000 email subscribers. Did I just get that number right? Because I'm also looking at your YouTube subscribers.
Yes, you did. You got it right.
But before we get into that, how old is Verhaal Brand Design and the Philip VanDusen brand?
Just under 3 years, I would say. I spent about 30 years on the global branding agency and corporate side, and then I just struck out on my own a few years ago.
Cool. And I'm guessing you were maybe just a year or just under 2 years then when you joined the Youpreneur community that we belong to?
Yeah, I joined Youpreneur just a few months after they opened, actually.
Yeah, I believe I did too. I haven't looked at the actual open date, but I know it was kind of early on. And for those of you listening, I have no idea what I'm talking about, or maybe never heard me talk about it. Youpreneur's a mastermind community for personal brand entrepreneurs, and Philip happens to be in there, and a lot of other great people that, we all get to learn from each other, and from the ringleader, a guy named Chris Ducker, which if you've listened to an episode or so, you've heard me mention his name too. So, yes, in the last week, I saw a message in the Youpreneur forum that you just hit 10,000 email subscribers, and if we have time, I want to talk about your YouTube channel too, because you hit a huge milestone there back in April. But on the email subscribers, when did you decide that your email list and the subscribership was a priority for your business?
Well, when I joined Youpreneur, I was kind of completely clueless in terms of how to build a personal brand. I've been building brands for, giant Fortune 500 companies for forever, but I had never really built my own. And, my personal brand existed of my portfolio and basically a resume on a placeholder website, because I'd never really needed more than that. And so when I went out on my own, I realized very quickly that I had to get up to speed on how you build a personal brand and how you do content marketing, how you build an email list, all that sort of stuff, which I, was pretty clueless about at the beginning. And when I went to Youpreneur, I very quickly learned from a whole lot of people kind of what the priorities were. And I rebuilt my website really significantly. And a few months later, I decided to start a newsletter, which was my first form of content marketing. Wow.
And was it from that point moving forward then, you're like, okay, if they've drilled it into me, I've got to I've got to build a list here? Or did that kind of sink in shortly after?
No, that was the reason. The community made it pretty clear that, you have to, develop an email list that you own. It's, there's this saying, you don't want to build your brand on borrowed land. So you're having an email list that is where people have opted in to hear from you is gold, because no matter what platform you go on, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, we don't own those, and they can change those at any moment. And so having an email list is of utmost importance. And also those tend to be the people who over time self-select and end up being your biggest cheerleaders, your diehard tribe, so to speak. So, yeah, I started my newsletter in order to build an email list, and I started off with about 10 people who were in my contact list. And then I went through a lot of my LinkedIn contacts, and I started there, and I emailed people and asked them if they would be interested in receiving my newsletter. And I had about 2,000 LinkedIn contacts, and over a period of 6 months, I probably reached out to 3/4 of them. And I would say 50% of them opted in. So I started off within the first few months with about 500 or 600 people on my list, and then just continued to build from there. I put my newsletter out every 2 weeks. I treated it like a job. I never missed a week, haven't missed a deadline in 2.5 years. All my other content marketing that I do, the articles I write for LinkedIn, my YouTube channel, all of those I drive back to my website where there are lead magnets where you can opt into my email list. And so, but I started essentially with the list itself because I wanted to get a platform going that I could drive people towards, essentially.
Yeah. So you answered some questions in some extra questions there. Like I was going to ask about how you established the beachhead. You went through your contacts first, and then LinkedIn was a big part of it. Driving traffic back to your site. Awesome. Were there any other, sort of key strategies to building the list that you haven't already mentioned? Yeah. Well,
I started, like I said, with my friends and family, and then LinkedIn. And, whenever I did physical networking, I would always give people my card, tell them about my newsletter, ask them to go sign up. I reached out to the Youpreneur community as well and got a lot of people who were interested in what I was doing. One of the things I did when I joined Youpreneur is Chris Ducker asked me to produce a video on brand design development. Mm-hmm. And I did that, and that created a lot of interest in what I do and drove a lot of people to join my list from the Youpreneur community. I'm also a part of a number of different Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups, and I always take every opportunity to drop the link to my website. And on my website, I have a pop-up with a lead magnet that is very effective. I was always totally anti pop-up, and was shocked when I heard how many people use them. But they are incredibly effective, and I would probably say 25% the people who hit my pop-up sign up. So, and I would say 85% of my website signups, even though I have, an email sign up in the footer of every page, et cetera, almost all of them come from the pop-up.
Is that lead magnet for your 9 design elements your brand absolutely positively needs ebook?
Yeah. Yes, it is. And it's time, it's been up there for a couple of years now. So I'm feverishly working on a new significant lead magnet to put up there to get some more content going. I also, like you mentioned, I have a YouTube channel, and on a number of my videos, I talk about strategic brand design and marketing. And depending on the subject I'm talking about, a lot of times I have a lead magnet that's associated with the topic. So I will drive people back to my site to a particular page, and in order to download that lead magnet, they have to give up their email address. So I have a whole, library of lead magnets that continue to, drive my list up.
That is brilliant. And then all of this funnels down to your website and to your core services and that revolve around brand design, yes?
Yes, that's correct. I do brand strategy, business strategy. I do consulting for creative professionals to advance in their careers. And I also do strategic graphic design, which is everything from brand identities to websites to advertising.
So among the clientele that you have, then you have small, medium businesses, entrepreneurs who are in the design or agency world, but then I'm guessing that on the strategic design side of your business, you're dealing with everyone from the small, medium business on up.
Yes. A lot of my clients are entrepreneurs or individuals, and the businesses I work with these days are generally in the 3 to 10 million a year revenue size. I'm not really working with the clients that I was working with when I was in my global branding days, but that's fine with me. I actually prefer the ones who have gotten some traction, but who can really, really benefit from this sort of strategic thinking that I can bring to the table. And a lot of the, big Fortune 500 companies have already done that to a great extent. And they also happen to generally use larger global agencies. So that's kind of my sweet spot, is that group of people.
That's great. And do you surely do have a team?
I run a virtual agency. One of the things I saw when I was in my last gig as the VP of design at PepsiCo was the agency landscape is changing dramatically. Global agencies are losing work to small consultancies, to brick and mortarless consultancies, to small agencies. When I was at PepsiCo, I was giving, meaty, big brand jobs like a Cheetos job to a little 6-person agency in Vermont, because they can move quickly. They, are eager to please, and they turn things around very fast, and they're less expensive. And so I saw that happening in the marketplace, and just decided to be on the right side of history for once. And so my agency is a virtual consultancy. I have a long list of partners and networked experts who I've kind of collected over my years in business. And when I started my own agency, I reached out to a number of them, 25 of them in different kind of specialties, and asked them if, I landed a particular project where I needed their skill set, if they would come on as a partner to work that project. And invariably they said yes. So what I do is I'm the principal of my agency, but my agency is essentially a brick and mortarless consultancy. So I will, if I get a job for, to do brand identity and a complex WordPress website, I may bring in a copywriter and, a photographer and, a WordPress developer, and have a team of 4 people to work that particular project. And when that project's over, we go our separate ways. There are a lot of people who work like I do, and so they're completely willing to white label their services under my agency umbrella. And likewise, if they land a great project where they need a brand strategist or a strategic design person, then I'll do the same for them. It's the gig economy. Yeah, that's great. I think that it's great that you shared that for the audience, the listener audience, and thank you so much for sharing in brief the story of building the email list. You said a couple of other things that give me ideas for future episodes. Maybe we can do it again sometime. And this is great stuff. I know I'll have some follow-up questions offline. Maybe we can share some stuff with listeners. And really appreciate you. Well, thanks for having me on, Roberto. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Of course, it's all my pleasure. We'll talk soon.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks again for listening. If you like what you heard today, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Would you like to get an occasional email from me with tips and hacks that I'm learning from guests of this podcast? This is all stuff that you can use to grow your business. You'll get an email about once a week. You can unsubscribe at any time, and I will never send you anything spammy. Just go to partnerforleads.blog. You can sign up right there, and that's partner singular, the number 4, LEADS.blog. Thinking about starting your own referral group? Wondering how you'll manage your online presence, memberships, fees, reporting metrics? Are you struggling to get in front of the right clients? Struggling to spread the word about your new business? Starting a referral leads group is a great way to expand your prospect list, and you could even meet your next client within a few short days. What have you got to lose? Visit partnerforleads.blog/startup to sign up for a free, no obligation 15-minute consult. Until next time.